Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Didn't mean to type that in chat. I was trying to type that somewhere else. I'm like, why is it not typing? Because apparently I was typing in chat. So I was just trying to get that into the list. So, all right, welcome in, Frontier Renegade. I think I've seen you around before, but welcome in. Glad to have you here this morning. Appreciate it. And Subdue, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you indeed. So, green is mental health awareness, and we're going to still be doing this. So, every time there's a sub, we'll put a. Well, I should get a. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to. Every time there's a sub, we'll put a ribbon. Green is mental health awareness, so we'll put a ribbon on here. At the end of the month, we'll be doing art, painting with that, and if you are someone, or I should, whoever does the sub, if you are, or you know someone with a mental health issue, we will write their names on the back of that on behalf of them. It's Phoenix. Okay. Okay. Well, glad to have you here. Redeem, change the flat cap. All right. Well, let me know which one you want. Let me know which one you want. And there are some hidden behind this that you can't see. So if you had one in particular and you don't see it, let me know. Let me know. Also, we will be getting started with, let me find the right thing. Oh, I guess we can do that. And then there's May there. Hey, Mountain, welcome in. The blue one. The blue one. Okay. Now, there are a couple of blue ones. So, I don't know if you wanted the light blue, the blue jean, or what often people mean when they say the blue one is the bright blue one. So I'm going to put that on. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I also have another blue one as well that's darker, but anyway. Oh, you've got a headache? Oh, sorry to hear that, friend. Sorry to hear that. Make sure it looks good. There we go. Yeah, I figured. Usually when people say blue, they mean this one. So, okay. Did you do something, Mountain, or just one of those you woke up? It came from work, so can assume how I got. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was work related. I don't know why it does this with my browser, and I tell it I want you to take the thing, and then always take the thing, and it doesn't always take the thing. So we are starting Reach 5K. Yeah, I should have sent this into QNN to have him promo this, but we're starting our alpha tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. I will be on stream prior to 4 p.m., but at 4 p.m. we will start the alpha videos, and then when we finish with them, we will go over to Discord for further conversations. Here's some mental health tips for the month, because it is mental health awareness. So I've got those tips. I keep posting those on the socials. Those are over in the Discord as well. And then we are passing the cap for a friend of Alice. So here's the info on it and the direct link to be able to go there and donate. Let me just update this, see if anyone else has donated. It does not look like anyone else has donated. So right, we will continue. Let me get the share on here. Come on. So I can throw that in the chat. So if anyone wants to donate and help and pass the cap over there, there's the GoFundMe. There's the GoFundMe. So, Mountain got, yeah, no green around these parts, Frontier says. In regards to mental health awareness, or just it's hasn't sprung or spring hasn't sprung. Yeah, the headache's annoying. I'm sure that is. It's only giving me pain a bit in my neck. Oh, that's not good. Meanwhile, your limbs are dying, but that's normal for me. Well, I like I say, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have a whole lot of advice other than, icing muscles that hurt and headaches. I use a rice bag, but when it's a you got bonked on the head kind of a thing, I don't know if that kind of well, ice might work there to reduce swelling. Your eyes are dying from all the green. Okay. So, Luce is welcome in, and Sis Pineapple, welcome in. Lots of pain in your arms and legs, but I'm a firefighter, so pain is normal, is what trying to say there. So let's look at our. Here's where we were supposed to be as of Friday. We were just a little behind. We got 3 chapters of Joshua to finish from Friday. And then Book of Judges is on the docket to start. So we'll be rolling Joshua, and I don't know if we'll get into Judges. I mean, we probably can. We probably can go right from Joshua into Judges, and there might be a good connection to do that. And then tomorrow we'll jump into John. Hey, Schizo. Good morning, Pastor. Good morning, chat. Glad to have you in here. And Aranga, hey Pastor, I'm here just lurking. I appreciate that. Lurkers are fantastic. By the way, here's some of my swag for the Reach 5K. And I don't know that I'm going to get 50 people on mine. I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to do it. And whatever happens, happens. And if you want to do that, you want to join me, that's great. I'd love to have you over there for that. And then the event, I can't remember, it's in September, I think it is, and I keep seeing posts about who some of the speakers are going to be, so it sounds like fun. Okay, I missed something. Not too much longer if school. Okay, the green? Okay. Is that what you're referring to? Of school? Not on top of my head. Okay. Would you recommend any verse for someone that is in jail? Depends on what you are trying to do as far as sending them verses. Are you trying to encourage them? Are you just trying to share love with them? I mean, like, just because they're in jail, there's lots of different ways. I mean, do they need comfort? Do they need to be uplifted? Do they need to know that they are loved? So encouragement. Okay. That's weird. Twitch decided to freeze and close when I tried to check a text. Oh, that is weird. It doesn't usually do that. I like one I'm not good with references, and some of that's intentional. But he will never leave you nor forsake you would be one of those that I would be inclined to go along. So I think I would go look for some psalms that talk about how surrounded by enemies, those kinds of things, in the midst of the shadow of death, those kinds of things. So those would be some of the encouragements I would go to. Would probably be going to some of the Psalms. That'd be my thought. So I'm just looking outside. Well, I should say outside. I'm looking at my cams so I can see outside. And there's the sunrise. There's the sunrise, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you thought so too? Yeah. Yeah, that'd be, I wouldn't necessarily take the whole psalm if the whole psalm is talking about, crushing people's heads and all that kind of, because the imprecatories, but in the imprecatories, there's usually a verse of the encouragement, of hope, Also, not Ecclesiastes, Lamentation. There is like it's right in smack dab in the middle of Lamentation 3 is the one tiny bit of hope in the middle of all the lament. But I don't think that's one I would start with. That might be the one that's hope comes in the morning. I can't remember off the top of my head. With explanation as to who is saying it. Yes. Yes. Luce is saying Hebrews 5 or 14:5. Why did it not put in there? Why did it not put it in there? Chapter verse taking a nap. Oh, there it goes. That was weird. Make sure that your character is free from the love of money, being content with what you have, for he himself has said, I will never desert you, nor I will never forsake you. Okay. Yep. Yep, wrong verse. Yeah, why did it not do the 14:5? Is there no such verse? That might be why. Is Hebrews end at 13? I don't know. Weird. Anyway, sunrise looks beautiful today. If I could, well, let me put it this way. This is what I would like to do, is get a second computer that I could just do sunrise streams on. And like Wednesdays when I'm not streaming, I'm in meetings, so I can't just have it streaming in the background. It messes up my cam for the Zoom meeting I'm in. Plus, I don't want it taking anything off of my computer in the meetings running in the background, because in order to do the audio for anything on there, if I did a sunrise, it would be audio off my computer. So that's where it would take all the audio off my computer. So anyway, and let me just do this. The pond cam is not working. I'm wondering if something got unplugged. That's my guess. There we go. Beautiful stuff outside today. Beautiful day all together. Oh, it's gonna be good. Can I get my payout yet? Payout for what? What payout are you expecting? Okay, we're Joshua 22. Let's jump over there. Okay, so Joshua, they finished all of the conquering of the land, and then they've been casting lots to distribute the land. They've done that. They've been assigning the cities to all the Levites, the cities that they get. They've been doing all of that work. So that's where we've been doing in Joshua. And we're close to the end of Joshua. We got 3 chapters, and Joshua's done. So I want to get that today. If we can. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and told them, you have carried out all the instructions of Moses, the Lord's servant, and you have obeyed all I have told you. You have not abandoned your fellow Israelites the entire time, right up to the very day. You have completed the task given you by the Lord your God. Now the Lord your God has made your fellow Israelites secure, just as he promised them. So now you may turn around and go to your homes in your own land, that Moses, the Lord's servant, assigned to you east of the Jordan. But carefully obey the commands and instructions Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you. Love the Lord your God. Follow all his instructions. Obey his commands. Be loyal to him and serve him with all your heart and being. That's an interesting phrase. I don't remember that one. Love the Lord your God. Follow his instructions. Obey his commands. Be loyal to him and serve him with all your being. Wonder if there's something in the footnote. Oh, okay. Schizo. Are the Canaanites the seed of Cain, oh, and the devil? Uh, I'm going to just say no, and then try to give some explanation. Just seeing if there's something else there. Oh, and Luce is the next one. So that we can confidently say, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Yeah, that's a great choice there, Lucis, for comfort there. Yeah, 13, 5, and 6. Yep. What can man do to me? That's a good one. Okay. So no, the Canaanites are descendants of Noah's son. Which one is it? Was it Ham, Shem, Ham, and Japheth? I think it's Ham. Anyway, it's grandsons of Noah, and he cursed the Canaanites. And there is not okay. So there's euphemisms that are used in that story, and there's two different ways to understand that euphemism. And so, no, yeah, it's not the descendants of Cain that they're called the Canaanites. But that's interesting. Yeah, it would make sense on that level that they could be. But no, his son is called Noah's grandson is called Canaan. And so it's the descendants of the grandson that he cursed. Ranga, I mean, I'm a little bit scared. Of what, Ranga? Did I miss something? Oh, as far as what can man do to me? Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, there's a level of that. And Anita Diamond, hey, welcome in. Love seeing you pushing towards the 600. You're usually on at the end of the day, and that's usually when I'm done with social for the day. So, yeah, not being enough. Yeah, there's a level, and I think when it says here, it's particularly what will I be afraid? What can man do to me? It's the permanence of what someone can do to you. If they kill me, I get to go be with the Lord. If they throw me in jail, that's the worst they can do. If they torture me, that's the worst they can do. It's like they can't steal my joy. They can't steal my salvation. God is my helper. He will get me through. That's kind of the reference there. But I don't think that negates the fact that we can have fear. That we can have, like, I'll tell you what. You know what? Let me just... Do I have it here? I can find it. Let me... Doesn't want to do that for me. Why do you not want to do that for me? Oh, let me do this one. Okay. So, here's my prayer booth. You guys have helped me raise half the money. By the way, if you're, yeah, and I still got to get this straight now that I'm up. If you're down there, you'll see I've got it listed for vehicle repairs, and then there's the dono for passing the cap. But yeah, I got to pay rent on this place. Sit there on Saturday and Sunday, which means I can't go get a job as a pastor on Saturday and Sunday because I'm gonna be sitting here. Like the level of which I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. Let me just spin through inside what it looks like. So there's my table and chairs on one side. Here is my blessing board for Mother's Day and prayers for Mother's Day. And then here's my other side, table and chairs, and generic, I would say generic because they're good for any time, prayers and blessings that people can take. And I have no idea how people are going to respond. I have no idea what kind of what people are going to be doing. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I totally get the unknown, the trusting on God and hanging out and waiting. It looks like a little house. Well, yeah, it does look like a little house. But I'm just I'm the one calling it a booth. It's a permanent. It's a perm. Oh, you got ads? Why did you get? That's weird. You got ads right now. Might be fear of pain. Oh, I'm not sure. Both are legit. Yeah.
Thanks to Atkins Shaw 22 for my sub gift. Epidem hype, epidem hype, epidem hype, epidem hype, epidem hype.
Epidem hype. Yeah, Epi Timmy hype is what that is. And Ken Jiang, welcome in. Thank you for that. Let me get caught up on chat. Skitzel, the difference between joy and happiness. Joy is in the Lord and family. Happiness is in the possession and worldly things that can be taken away. You can make that distinction. I think that's a fair distinction. Not everyone would agree with you, but I think if you make the distinction that you're going to use joy in that way, and yes, happiness I think has more of is like I can have joy by having a perspective on my circumstances, not celebrating the circumstances themselves. So yeah, I'm tracking with you. Anita got follow botted Thursday, went up to 750 Twitch, has managed to cut you back to 6 to 18 at last check in, but I still was only at 540 prior to the bot, so a few need to be removed yet. Wow. Thanks for the biddies, Anita. Thanks for the biddies. Who else dropped some biddies? Maybe that was it. Oh, Anita and back. Yeah, that's weird you had to add all of a sudden there. Hey, Artsy Bible Nerd, welcome in. Subdue. My IRL pastor did the benediction yesterday at the close of service. I could practically hear your voice when reading it and was surprised when I realized I didn't have to look at the prompter. I know the words due to having memorized from listening to it on your stream. He did that one? Wow, dude, that is super cool. That is not one that is super common out there, but it's the one that my pastor said all the time. And so it's just like, I'm going to say the one that was passed down to me. Now, a lot will go do the numbers one that it tells the priests and the sons of Aaron that they are to do all the time. So I don't have it right here readily available. You're saying that's a booth. There's I want to say 13 of these that are set up, and they're all a little bit different, and so they're permanent. And often you think of a booth as maybe not permanent. So yeah, they're just little sheds. They're just little sheds that we can be in. So 13 booths. Yeah, I'm not sure why 13. Baker's dozen, but can you sleep in them? I think there's a possibility you could. There is electricity, and I have a fan in mine and lights, but there's no heat. And so in the winter, it would be way too cold, and in the summer, it will be too hot. So, Ranga, hey, have a blessed evening. Have a blessed night. Subdue. It's because the month's message is entirely May, and the benediction has May all through it. Ah, okay. So stay out of your booths. Well, the booths are open on Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 2 is when you are required to be open. I can be open at other times if I so choose. So that was a nice rabbit trail. And thank you all coming in with the hype. And I'm realizing this is, let me change that, then I can see. There we go. They look like you have on the beaches over here in a few areas. Yeah, they're not nothing special, but each one has a different design. So they intentionally made each of them slightly different, so it didn't just look like a bunch of things put together and we just bought the same one. Kitsume, you never heard of this before. What have you never heard of before? Yeah, Rabbit Trail's going off the reading. Yeah. Yep. When I go off topic, off the reading, off in a different direction, that's a rabbit trail. The prayer booth thing. Oh, yeah. I've seen people do it a few different times and places. So yeah, it's not particularly a common thing, and I'm hoping it goes well. Yeah, they're all painted different colors on the beaches. Yeah, we also have another, well, in my county, the bigger town in my county also, but this one where I'm at is in like a U shape, so you can walk around them, and the one in the town next, well, the big town, is all in a row. Like you just walk along the sidewalk and they're all sitting there. Those ones remind me of like Dr. Seuss background when you have a whole bunch of buildings that all look different and weird shapes, and that one gives me a Dr. Seuss vibe. But anyway, okay, so we had Joshua telling the tribes on the east side of the Jordan they are now welcome to go home. They have done what they promised to do. Joshua rewarded them and sent them on their way. They returned to their homes. Now, to one half tribe of Manasseh, Moses had assigned land in Bashan, and on the other half, Joshua had assigned land on the west side of the Jordan with their fellow Israelites. When Joshua sent them home, he rewarded them. Them saying, "Take home great wealth, a lot of cattle, silver, gold, bronze, iron, and a lot of clothing. Divide up the goods captured from your enemies with your brothers." So the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites in Shiloh, in the land of Canaan, and headed home to their land in Gilead, which they acquired by the Lord's command through Moses. And I know we looked up Shiloh. What did Shiloh mean? Can't remember what Shiloh meant, and I know it was cool. Are we in 20? What are we? I thought we were in 20. We're in 22. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. There's Shiloh. I know we looked it up. I wish my memory was better. Because I know it was kind of cool. It wasn't place of rest. That's what it was. I know it wasn't dividing, but so they all gathered at the place of rest after the conquest of the land. That's what it was. That's what it was. Hey, welcome in. Okay, Cockroach. Morning, Pastor in chat. Great to have you here, friend. Great to have you. Okay, so Shiloh is the place of rest. So they ceased from all the battle. God had given them rest, and so they gathered at the place of rest. That's what it was. Okay, now they're dividing all the land at the place of rest. They are dividing the spoils at the place of rest. They are returning home from the place of rest. So, I don't know. I just think that's really cool. Which they acquired at the Lord's command, or the command through Moses. Okay. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh came to Gilaloth near the Jordan in the land of Canaan and built there near the Jordan an impressive altar. The Israelites received a report. Look, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar at the entrance of the land of Canaan at Gilaloth near the Jordan on the Israelite side. When the Israelites heard this, the entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh to launch an attack against them. Okay, let's find out what Gilaloth means. What does Gilaloth mean? Is there something in that name that is pointing to something? Okay, Okay, what verse was it in? Sometimes 11. No, 10. 10 also. Okay. A great altar to see. Okay. At Gilaloth near the Jordan, it's on the 11. So 10 and 11 both have it. Built an altar over against the land of Canaan. Huh. Israel, Shema, Amar, Hine, Ben Ruban, Ben Gad, Hasi, Serbet, Manasseh, Bana, Mitzbeh, El, Mol, Eretz, Canaan, El, Gililah. Ah, there we go. Borders. Borders. Circuit, boundary, territory. Huh. That's interesting. That's interesting. At the border near the Jordan. So here they're taking it as a place name, and the older version is taking it as the boundary. They came to the boundary near the Jordan, not a place. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. Sorry, that was a little rabbit trail of my own there. Because I was thinking, is there something in here? So they came to the border. One of the things is, here it says impressive altar. Let's see what that tells us. And they went to Gilaloth of the Jordan, which is in the land of Canaan. The sons of Reubenites and Gad, half Manasseh, built there an altar near the Jordan. An altar great with respect to appearance. Okay. That didn't add anything. But there were what I'm wondering that it's not telling us here is, remember when they were instructed to not use cut stones? Maybe they used cut stones. They're also, so that might be the thing that's going on here. Let's keep reading and see if we can find out why they're upset. They're building an altar. Does it say who they built the altar to? Doesn't say who they built the altar to. I was just wondering, are they suddenly not worshiping God? Just wanted to check that. Okay. The Israelites sent Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the priest, to the land of Gilead of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half tribe of Manasseh. He was accompanied by 10 leaders, one from each of the Israelite tribes, each one a family leader among the Israelite clans, which would also include a half tribe of Manasseh. I think it would. And he's also of the tribe of Levites, so that makes it to 11. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. So maybe it doesn't include Manasseh. I don't know. If it says 10, I'm thinking it did. Okay. They went to the land of Gilead, to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and said to them, notice how often they keep repeating, the name of the tribe, the name of the tribe, and the name of the other tribe, the name of the tribe, the name of the tribe, the name of the other tribe. Like, it was like, this is echo. It should be this echo. I know I'm reading it more junked up here, disjointed, but you would have heard the echoing of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The entire community of the Lord says, why have you disobeyed the God of Israel by turning back today from following the Lord? You built an altar for yourself and have rebelled against the Lord. The sin we committed at Peor was bad enough. To this very day, we have not purified ourselves. It even brought a plague on the community of the Lord. Now today, you dare to turn back from following the Lord. You are rebelling against the Lord. Tomorrow, he may bring out in anger against the entire community of Israel. But if, if your own land is impure, cross over to the Lord's own land, where the Lord himself lives, and settle down among us. Don't rebel against the Lord or us by building for yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God. When Achan, son of Zerah, disobeyed the commands about the city's riches, the entire community was judged. Though only one man had sinned, he must certainly die for his sin. So the priest is going through a litany of things we've done wrong, and you've done something wrong. And hey, like, did you catch this? This is really cool. If your land is polluted on that side, we'll give you places in our land over here. Just don't do this. Just don't do the thing you set about to do, which is setting up an altar. It said to yourself. No, I'm not quite sure what that means, setting up an altar to yourself. But he's going through, and they're making the plea that you're doing something wrong, it will affect us too. You're doing something wrong affects us. This is not thinking that we have in the church today, which I think we should. When I do something wrong, it impacts the entire body. It does. It does. Okay. The Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders of Israel clans. El God the Lord, he knows the truth. Israel must always know. If we have rebelled or disobeyed the Lord, don't spare us today. If we have built an altar for ourselves to turn back from following the Lord by making burnt sacrifices and grain offerings on it, or by offering tokens of peace on it, the Lord himself will punish us. We swear we have done this because we were worried that in the future your descendants would say to our descendants, what relationship do you have with the Lord God of Israel? The Lord made the Jordan a boundary between us and you, Reubenites and Gadites. You have no right to worship the Lord. In this way, your descendants might cause our descendants to stop obeying the Lord. So we decided to build an altar, not for burnt offerings and sacrifices, but as a reminder to us and you and our descendants who follow us, that we will honor the Lord in his very presence with burnt offerings, sacrifices, and tokens of peace. Then in the future, your descendants will not be able to say to our descendants, you have no right to worship the Lord. We said, if in the future they say such a thing to us or our descendants, we will reply, see the model of the Lord's altar that our ancestors made, not for burning offerings or sacrifices, but as a reminder to us and you. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord by turning back today from following after the Lord by building an altar for burnt offerings, sacrifices, and tokens of peace. Aside from the altar of the Lord our God, located in front of his dwelling place. So, hi Papsio, welcome in. It's about the side of the Jordan it was built on? No. It's about the fact they're building a second place of worship instead of the tabernacle. They don't have a temple yet, but it's about building a second place of worship rather than where God is going to say you're supposed to worship. So, and I was wondering if it was about using cut stones, and it wasn't. But what they're saying is we built a model of it. We built a model of what we're supposed to do. And we are not going to sacrifice on it. But here's the really interesting thing about it. Okay. They could have had a conversation about this, right? They could have had a conversation. Now, are you more inclined, let me just ask you this, are you more inclined to remember an event if you were riled up about it, or if it was just a generic conversation about something that to you wasn't so important, but to somebody else really was important? So, they don't they don't say, hey, we're worried about in the future and we want to figure out a way to make sure your ancestors don't prevent our ancestors from worshiping God. They don't do that. Instead, they do something that is going to agitate all of the tribes and be a significant event that they will remember. So they did this in a sense to provoke the 10 or the 9.5 tribes. They did it in a sense to provoke the 9.5 tribes, which worked. They were provoked. The 9.5 tribes were provoked. They come out. They send a delegation to prevent war, and now they have the explanation. We provoked you so that in the future we'll always be able to worship God. We weren't doing something wrong. We weren't doing something wrong. So that's kind of interesting. So let's see what the response is. When Phinehas, the priest, and the community leaders of Israel clan leaders who accompanied him heard the defense of the Reubenites, Gadites, and Manasseites, they were satisfied. Which is interesting. Did you notice that when they were saying we Reubenites and Gadites, they didn't say and half tribe of Manassites, or they didn't say and Manassites. They didn't call themselves. They just called themselves Reubenites and Gadites, which is interesting. Because we've had the Reuben, Gad, and half Manasseh. Reuben, Gad, and half Manasseh, but when they reply themselves, they leave out the half tribe of Manasseh. I don't know. Something interesting there. Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, said to the Reubenites, Gadites, and Manassites, today we know that the Lord is among us because you have not disobeyed the Lord in this. Now you have rescued the Israelites from the Lord's judgment. Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, and the leaders left the Reubenites and Gadites in the land of Gilead. Oh, notice they didn't say Manassites this time. And reported back to the Israelites in the land of Canaan. The Israelites were satisfied with their report and gave thanks to God. They said nothing more about launching an attack to destroy the land in which the Reubenites and Gadites lived. The Reubenites and Gadites named the altar, surely it is a reminder to us that the Lord is God. Okay, what's the name? Oh, a witness between us. A witness between us is what they said. What do we have here? What do we have? Called the altar Ed. Okay. Well, yeah. We got the translation there. Oh, wait. That's not in the Hebrew. What do you say? They called the altar Ed. There's no Ed there. They called it shall be a witness. There's the Ed. There's a witness. They called it witness. Ed is witness. So they translated it and they put it back in. That's interesting. A Ed.
Strong's H 5707. Aid.
Aid. Oh, okay. It's aid. It's not Ed. Witness. Witness. So it's called witness. I know. It was so much funnier. Ed. And they called it Ed. A long time passed after the Lord made Israel secure from their enemies. Oh, okay. So we're jumping ahead now. We're jumping ahead. And Joshua was very old. Okay, I think we had this earlier. We had the jumping ahead earlier, and then we went back to the division. So it was like, they conquered all the land. We got to the end of it. Now we're back to that. So even when we're following a story, I don't remember how many chapters ago that was. Even when we're following a story, sometimes you do a loop around, and you do a loop around. You jump forward, you jump back. We know that happens in movies, and we know that happens in books today. But sometimes we forget that is something that happens in the Bible, that's not a linear timeline. It's a storytelling of events that may be told in a different order to get a different thought and response from you in the reading of it. So, you know how sometimes you if you're doing some kind of spy movie or mystery movie and all of that, you don't get to know all the information until you're at the end of that movie or book. It's like the final chapter reveals all the things you've been wondering about and struggling with understanding. Well, they could have given you all that information to start with, and then you would have never had any struggle. Books want you to wrestle with and engage them in conversation. So, so a long time has passed. So Joshua summoned all Israel, including the elders, rulers, judges, and leaders. Interesting. The elders, the rulers, the judges, and leaders. I'm wondering what the difference is between those words. The elders and the heads and the judges and the officers. Okay. Zakane.
Strong's H2205. Zakane.
Okay, this would just
Zakane.
be those that had authority over the tribes.
Strong's H7218. Ramath Negev. Ramath Negev.
So the top, the chiefs.
Second entry. Rosh.
Rosh, the head of the year, Rosh Hashanah.
Strong's H8199. Shaphat.
The judges.
Shaphat.
The judges. So this would be, in some cases, remember when he appointed some over 50s, hundreds, thousands to judge over them? That would be that group of people.
Strong's H7860. Shater.
Officials,
Shater.
officers, overseers. Okay. So you've got 4 different levels there. I don't know how to make a distinction between all of those different groups of people. Elders is going to be because of age. Rulers would be the specific one that might be in a city or town. The judges are the ones passing out things. And then we got leaders. So I'm not sure the distinct, like, what distinction, but it's like, it's all of them. It's all of them. I am very old. I called you all together to tell you something that is clear and obvious, and you knew it before you showed up. Thank you for coming. That's it. Goodbye. Sorry. That would be quite funny, wouldn't it? I've summoned you all here to tell you that I am old. None of you were aware of this. I have hidden it from you for these last 80 years. However, I am old. Thought I'd reveal that to you now. Okay. Sorry, I was just killing time while I was refilling one tea into the other tea. Okay. You saw everything the Lord your God did to all the nations on your behalf, for the Lord God fights for you. See, I have parceled out to your tribes these remaining nations from the Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, including all the nations I defeated. The Lord your God will drive them out before you and remove them so you can occupy their lands as the Lord your God promised you. Be very strong. Carefully obey all that is written in the law scroll of Moses, so you won't swerve from it to the right or left, or associate with these nations that remain near you. You must not invoke or make solemn declaration by the names of their gods. You must not worship or bow down to them. But you must be loyal to the Lord your God, as you have been to this very day. So, Electropod, welcome in, friend. Welcome in. So, the land has been divvied, and if you remember, in the divvying of the land, there were several nations around that were mentioned that, hey, and this one is one you're supposed to conquer, and this one is one you're supposed to take. So there is the statements that say all the land that was promised to Abraham has been given. All the land promised to your forefathers has been given. This is a new statement of more territories to conquer, is the way that I see this being unfolded. And in the future, you're to deal with them. And God will probably tell you the timing of when you need to deal with them. And you will be successful if you're obedient and listen to that. But here's the ones you're responsible for. And then there were some that were divvied up. The Lord drove out from before you great and mighty nations. No one has been able to resist you to this very day. One of you makes 1,000 run away, for the Lord your God fights for you, as he promised you he would. Excuse me. Watch yourself carefully. Love the Lord your God. But if, if you ever turn away and make alliances with these nations that remain near you, and intermarry with them, and establish friendly relations with them, know for certain that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations from before you. They will trap and ensnare you. They will be a whip that tears your sides and thorns that blind your eyes until you disappear. For this good land, the land the Lord your God gave you. Woo! Like, they're going to rip your flesh and tear out your eyes. Like, okay. Yeah, it's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass. Look, today, I'm about to die. You know with all your heart and being that not even one of all the faithful promises the Lord your God made to you is left unfulfilled. Okay, again, Joshua says nothing has been left unfulfilled. There are people today who still say they never actually got to the full borders of what was promised. This has got to be the third time minimum. It's got to be the third time where Joshua has said God has fulfilled everything. They've taken the entirety of what they were supposed to. All of these other things aren't things they failed to do. They were additional things that got shared in the distribution of the land. And when you've got the land and you're settled in the land, here's the next one, next door neighbor, that will need to be dealt with. But until then, until you're settled, it doesn't need to be. They're at bay. They're okay. They're over there. Their time hasn't come up yet. He's reminding them, though, don't go about this the wrong way and just say, yeah, they're friendly folk and we're going to intermarry with them. Because they serve other gods. So that's not the way to go about it. Okay. But in the same way that every faithful promise the Lord your God made to you has been realized, it is just as certain that if you disobey, then the Lord will bring on you every judgment until he destroys you from this good land that the Lord your God gave you. If you violate the covenant law of the Lord your God, which he commanded you to keep, and you follow, worship, and bow down to other gods, then the Lord will be very angry with you, and you will disappear quickly from the good that he gave to you. Now, one of the things I think we diminish too much is, oh, well, there are no other gods. There is only one God. So clearly I wouldn't worship something that's not God. And so these people were so backwater and silly that they ever left God and did that. They're not different than you, my friends. They're not different from you. So if they were choosing to go and worship something, it had to be of benefit to them to actually go and do that. It wasn't just going to be out of fear, because the fear of God certainly would have done it, but it would have been because intermarriage on one level, but also because there was perceived real power and a real entity that they were worshiping, not just like we poo-poo idol worship as it's just something carved with hands, because we read that in the New Testament. And there's a reality of that. But that we read that as they're just worshiping the object, and they're not worshiping the object. We've diminished what they thought they were doing. That is a dwelling place for a real entity to come and dwell in and bring real power to them. So they are doing that, and that's what we need to remember. That's what we need to remember. Huh. Interesting. Sorry, just noticing the difference between what I can see on screen in the chat and what I can see on my screen in the chat and where it cuts off. So, that's all. Where did I leave off? Oh, unfulfilled the same way they promised. Certain... Okay. 24. And then Joshua is no more. Joshua assembled all the Israelite tribes at Shechem. He summoned Israel's elders, rulers, judges, and leaders, and they appeared before God. Where did it just say he assembled them up above? Archie, the Two Trees podcast has been freaking me out. It is like a horror movie. So that a bad way or a good way, Archie? Because I really like the Two Trees. The gods of the other nations are the angels that came to earth the second time. That is what I would think is a possibility. Yes, all the unseen realm Elohim are for real. Yes. Yep. Okay, we wanted to see where it said in the last chapter where did he summon them. I summoned all of Israel's. Okay. It doesn't say where he summoned them in 23. It just says that he summoned them. Now we're repeating that he summoned them in Shechem. Let me just get rid of a bunch of these we've looked up. And let me see if there's a reason why it's in Shechem. Shechem. Back or shoulder?
Strong's 8, 7927. Shechem.
Okay, and I don't know. Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the place of Morah. The Canaanite was in the land. Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem. Okay, so I think this is a go back to Abraham probably, and there's something that I just am not able to pull off the top of my head of why it's at Shechem. So yeah, if you're let me put it this way, I like Dr. Michael Heiser with Unseen Realm, and the Two Trees podcast is people who I would call disciples of what he did, and man, there's some fantastic things in the Two Trees podcast. As far as understanding that all throughout Scripture, when you see anything made of wood, look for either that thing to bring life or bring death. The thing made of wood either is a homage back to the tree of life or an homage back to the tree of death. So if let's just take the story of Abraham and Isaac going up on the mountain. Isaac is carrying the wood. The wood is going to be there for the fire, for the sacrifice. That's the tree of death. The ram in the thicket. I missed it. The ram in the thicket, and I'll say it when people come back. The ram in the thicket is where the tree of life is because it's what brings him life. Thought I had another 5. Bummer. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna go feed the koi real quick here. Well, there's also the Divine Council Worldview podcast. I don't know if I know that one. Yeah, it's feeding the quake. So those that got cut off. What I was saying is a good example is look at Abraham, and you've got the two trees when Isaac carries the wood for the sacrifice, which is going to be the tree of death because he's going to die, and that's a result of the sacrifice. And then there is the thicket where the ram is at. That's the tree of life, which is the way which he is now out of the death that he was in. You also look at Hagar and Ishmael, and he is under a tree. She is thinking that he's going to die. She leaves him under a tree. There is an arrow's breath away, so an arrow's breath meaning death, and under the tree meaning life. So there's some connections there. Yeah, I've not heard of the Divine Council Worldview podcast. I might have to add that one. There's also answers to giant questions in Genesis is also another one in that realm of things. So anyway, I think Shechem is probably going back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob references here that they're going to join there. So going back to the land. I'm not sure what you meant there, or did I misspeak in some ways? They're in the land. Or was that in the reading of Abraham? Because he's in the land and he's moving around and he goes back to a location. On Spotify, Genesis Gap Theory. I'm not sure what Genesis Gap Theory is. But all the ones I'm have referenced today are on Spotify. The one exception of one that I've listened to, but I haven't listened to it in a year or so. I listened to the beginning of it, is the Bema Discipleship podcast. I have not listened to that one recently. I should say that one is not on Spotify, which is also part of why I haven't listened to it recently. So Divine Council Worldview. Schizo, say more on the Genesis Gap Theory, what you mean by that. Is that a podcast as well? And the thing is a lot of these are coming out of scholarship. So if you're like, I've never heard this before, I've never seen this before, then that would be a reason why you have not. Okay, I see the redeem, and I'm looking around. I have not. I'm looking if I can. Okay, I can do that one. Most of the ones I have sitting around me is ones that are prayer requests. I have not brought in my stack of them. I still haven't unboxed half of my boxes. So random sticky note. And this one's got a water stain on it, so the ink is smudged. So, selling versus asking what no one else does. Wow, give I his station? I'm not sure. Give in station? I'm not sure what I mean there. Connecting people or introducing people. So I've got a bunch of like random thoughts on that one. Truly a random sticky note with smudges. So hard for me to make out even what I was thinking. Oh, wait. Give illustration. That's what it is. Illustration. Not okay. Give illustration. There we go. I figured it out. Oh, there's blue ink on my table for where it got wet and it leaked through. So there you go. Random sticky note. According to the gap theory, there's a long gap of time between Genesis 1 and 2. Okay. I think there's more than one place where there's the hypothesis of gap. So some people we put it this way. In order to have the divine council worldview, you don't have to see a gap between Genesis 1 and 2. You can go either way, if you see it or you don't see it, if there's a gap between 1 and 2. Yeah, and I explained, I've gone through this before, but my problem with seeing a gap between there is then if there are in Genesis 1 creation of male and female, then how is there no suitable helper for Adam in Genesis 2? That's my problem with the gap is if God's created people and they're male and female in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 isn't a retelling of that story in a different fashion, then it makes like Adam just didn't look hard enough. God didn't need to make someone else. If there's other females, all he's got to do is bring one that's already made. Why does he have to make Eve? That's my biggest problem with that idea. But yeah, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Yes. Kind of getting out here now, so might be losing you a little bit. If so, have a great day. Thank you, Subdue. Artsy, the Divine Council Worldview podcast is led by a former colleague of Heiser. Okay. Is that an extension of the podcast that he had? Artsy, because let me just look at what his was. I can look that up real quick. Oh, no, his is the Naked Bible Podcast. That's what his was. His was the Naked Bible Podcast. Okay. I don't know what the Divine Council worldview is. It's also called the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. I think in the gap, that's when the war happened in heaven when Lucifer fell. Oh, yeah, and that's one way to read and understand that. I tend to think that the war in heaven is at the conception and birth of Jesus. That's when I think it happens. But we don't. I mean, we're all reading different things, and I think there's viability in different places around those things. So, and we don't know with definitiveness on those. I do not believe it is an extension. Yeah, no, it's probably something else. Because I knew his was still ongoing. It's the Naked Bible, so. Okay, so we just did go through Deuteronomy 32 a little while ago, and so it's called the Divine Council. There's also a psalm that talks about when God was in the assembly of the sons of God. And it talks about God dividing up the nations according to the number of the sons of God. And it uses the word Elohim, sons of Elohim. And so whatever it is that God is talking about, that Scripture is referring to there, is seen as an assembly of spiritual beings. There are spiritual beings who are there. And you also have Daniel, when Michael shows up and says, God heard your prayer, but I was delayed because I had to fight against the prince of, and the prince there is the angelic ruler of a nation who oversees and is responsible for. So that ties into all of this stuff. They're over that nation. I was fighting with him. I was delayed. I could not get here to give you the message until now. And so now I'm going to go back and fight. So it's all of the heavenly realm that the 70 nations were allotted to and assigned to. So God took all of the people. So this is the idea of after Babel in Genesis 11, there is the dividing up of the nations, because it gives the table of nations, and it says there are 70 or 72, depending on how you count them. There are either 70 or 72 nations. They're divided up, and God assigns a heavenly person, a spirit realm being, to be the one who was supposed to be the one that protects them, the one to oversee them, the one to lead them to the praise of God, and instead they decide to get worshipped themselves, to get praised themselves, and so then that is the reason why God goes and he chooses a single man to start over with. He doesn't take a nation for himself. He starts with Abraham, a single man, and he takes him out of a nation, and that's why he's judging the other nations and all of that stuff that's going on. Hope that makes sense. You get more questions, Schizo, ask me, but it comes from Deuteronomy 32 specifically, and we just read that recently where it talked about the dividing up of the nations, and so that's based on the idea that there were angelic beings. You got Daniel, and you've got some Psalms that specifically use that, the sons of God language, or in places the prince of a nation is a spiritual being. So that's where the idea of you could, so this is to go back to your point, you think that they all fell or could have all fallen in the gap. Could have. The war in heaven could have happened to them. They were cast down to the earth and God divided them among them at that point. I don't like that idea because when they get assigned, I don't think they were assigned because they had already been fallen. I think they were assigned and they fall at Genesis 6. I think that's when they fall, is at Genesis 6 as far as those who are ruling on earth. So anyway. Hey, I'm watching you people. Good morning. Welcome in. Thanks for the biddies. So, any further questions? Let me know on that. Happy to discuss that further. Until then, we'll get in and try to complete Joshua. So Joshua assembled them at Shechem, and we went and looked up Shechem, which I didn't find to be anything we needed to look up. Doing great. Thank you for asking. How about yourself? He summoned the elders, rulers, judges, and leaders, and they appeared before God. Joshua told all the people, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, said. In the distant past, your ancestors lived beyond the Euphrates, including Terah, the father of Abraham, and Nahor. They worshipped other gods, but I took your father Abraham from beyond the Euphrates and brought him into the entire land of Canaan. I made his descendants numerous. I gave him Isaac, and Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. To Esau I gave Mount Seir. While Jacob and his sons went down to Egypt, I sent Moses and Aaron, and I struck Egypt down when I intervened in the land. Then I brought you out. When I brought your fathers out of Egypt, you arrived at the sea. The Egyptians chased your fathers with the chariots and the horse to the Sea of Reeds. Your fathers cried out for help to me. He made the area between you and the Egyptians dark, and then he drowned them in the sea. Notice it skipped the opening up of the sea. They just drowned them. See, when you retell stuff, you don't have to give all the details. You witnessed with your very own eyes what I did in Egypt. You lived in the wilderness for a long time. So this would only be those that were under 40 years old who would have seen, or says 40 or 20? Under 20. Under 20 years old would have seen it at that time. I'm watching you people. I feel so much better. Still kind of weak, and I don't want to push it. Well, that's a good plan. But you almost able to lift up your leg last night to get in bed. That's awesome. You felt a twinge and it stopped. Because again, don't want to push it. But God is healing me, and I don't have to go into rehab. Praise his name. Yeah, twinge, I got you. The other thing, though, too, I'll just advise anyone on. If I'm just going to, because I'm going to use the arm because this is someone I knew who actually had this problem. If I go to here, and I'm just going to, let me just go like this, like lifting up, let's just say that. If I go to here and it starts to hurt, there are times where that I need to try and allow it to hurt. Because if my goal is to rehab it so that I can do this. I'll never get there if I stop every time I feel pain. So sometimes you do have to push into the pain zone to get to where this will never have pain. Because if I stop here and I never push to pain, then suddenly it will be here to be pain, and suddenly it'll be here to be pain, and suddenly it'll be here to be pain, and suddenly it's in pain constantly. That's what happened to one lady I know. She did not want to do her rehab. It was painful. She wouldn't stretch it. So sometimes in recovery, now that doesn't mean like, well, I want to be able to do amazing, magnificent things, and sometimes you never get it back. So, but I'm just saying, connecting to where it is, you know, recovery versus overdoing are two different things. Hey, what's this stream about? Preaching? We're reading the Bible. We're reading the Bible in a year. RS 4047. RS, welcome in. You have questions? You got thoughts? You're welcome to engage. All are welcome here. Well, I mean, going to rehab center because I was too disabled to go to do anything myself. I haven't actually spoken to a medical professional, so I don't know my limits and know where to push it. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. We also go down rabbit holes, and he does lots of research. He's a very fact-finding, dapper pastor. Thank you, friend. The other thing is, we were just talking about when there are people that have different theories on different things, because we do not have a definitive thing that says this is when it happened or this is how. There are clues that are left, and they can be interpreted in different ways. So, all right. Then I brought you to the land of the Amorites who lived east of the Jordan. You fought with them, but I handed them over to you. You conquered their land, and I destroyed them from before you. So notice how the description of the victory is given to credit to God. Not you did this. I did this. Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, launched an attack against Israel. He summoned Balaam, son of Behor, to call down judgment on you. I refused to respond to Balaam. He kept prophesying good things about you, and I rescued you from his power. Okay, how could God be rescuing from Balaam's power unless Balaam actually had some power? And that power, oh, it says his hand. Okay, rescued it from his hand, but the idea there. You crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho, the leaders of Jericho, as well as the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites. We got all 7. Fought against you, and I handed them over to you. I sent terror ahead of you to drive out before you the 2 Amorite kings. I gave you victory. It was not by your swords and bows. I gave you a land in which you had not worked. You took up residence in cities you did not build, and you are eating the produce of vineyards and olive groves you did not plant. Boom. God did it all. God gave it all. You are enjoying things you did not do the hard work to earn. So, what should you do in response? Now obey the Lord and worship him with integrity and loyalty. Put aside the gods your ancestors worshiped beyond the Euphrates and in Egypt and worship the Lord. If you have no desire to worship the Lord, then choose today whom you will worship, whether it be the gods whom your ancestors worshiped beyond the Euphrates, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living, but I and my family will worship the Lord. So this is a really well-known passage. Choose today whom you will serve. Thanks for the thumbs up. You can't be choosing today whom you will serve unless there is an actual second choice to be able to serve. It is a lesser choice, a lesser being, a lesser group. They're all referred to as El in some way, which is God, and we just translated in English as a lowercase g, and then the God of the Bible as uppercase G, the same name is used. Now, God of the Bible has several other names that are used as well, but the Elohim we would understand as spiritual beings, and it is fine to translate them as God. But then when we have lowercase g, we think, oh, they're not real. No, there had to be something that was real about them and real power that people got from serving and worshiping them, or they would not have been doing all of these things. So that goes back to where we were talking about Deuteronomy 32 and the divine council worldview earlier. So just if you came in and we're talking about that, we were talking about that earlier, but it just ties into our conversation earlier. Like, you can worship the gods your ancestors did when they lived beyond the Euphrates before God revealed himself to it. Or you could worship the ones that your ancestors worshipped in Egypt before God rescued them. You want those? Or you want the God that rescued and redeemed? Choose. I'm going with the God that brought us out of Egypt. That sounds better than the gods of Egypt, who I was a slave under. Just saying. Just saying. The people responded, "Far be it from us to abandon the Lord so we can worship other gods. For the Lord our God took us and our fathers out of slavery in the land of Egypt and performed the awesome miracles before our very eyes. He continually protected us as we traveled, and when we passed through nations, the Lord drove out from before us all the nations, including the Amorites, who lived in the land. So we too will worship the Lord, for he is our God." Like, we're with you, bro. We're with you. Joshua warned the people, "You will not keep worshiping the Lord, for he is a holy God. He is a jealous God who will not forgive your rebellion or your sins. If you abandon the Lord and worship foreign gods, he will turn against you. He will bring disaster on you and destroy you, though he once treated you well." Wonder what the footnote is. Oh, when. So it could be translated when you abandon him, not if you abandon him. Like, it's gonna happen. Here, for the sake of the people, it's if. But it could be translated as when. When you do this, this will happen. Okay. The Lord said to Joshua, to the people said Joshua, "No, we really will worship the Lord." Joshua said to the people, "Do you agree to be witness against yourself that you have chosen to worship the Lord?" What? A witness against yourself. You are witnesses against yourself that you have chosen to worship the Lord, to serve him. Okay, so will you? So they're phrasing it. Do you agree to be, and as opposed to stating it as you have agreed to be. So how are you witnesses against yourself? Well, one tribe is a witness against the other tribe. I think that's how this is working. You as the people collectively have stated this, but you as the people are witnesses against yourself. Wow, what a fascinating idea there. What a fascinating thought there. So, you are witnesses against yourself. You are witnesses against yourself here that you want to serve God and serve God only. Jump ahead to the crucifixion that whole week. And while they're standing there before Pilate, and he says, "I wash my hand of this man's blood," and they say, "We will take the blood of this man on ourselves and our descendants." They are witnesses against themselves there. They are witnesses against themselves here. So they're witnesses against themselves here that they will follow God and declare that they will follow God. There they're witnesses against themselves saying, "We are going to do what we want to do, and what we want to do is put to death the Son of God." Now, they don't fully understand that, but they are witnesses to themselves there. I've never seen or thought about this parallel here of the choose today whom you will serve. Wow. Because the people are that is really put before them in the crucifixion of Jesus. Choose today whom you will serve. Now, I'm not faulting the crowd. I'm not faulting the crowd. I'm faulting the religious leaders in that case, because it says the people are like a sheep without a shepherd. And I think that the people do have the chance to return, but some of the hardness of hearts of the religious leaders are not going to, just like in Egypt, not going to bring them to repentance. Wow. Witnesses against yourself. So you need 2 or 3 witnesses. You're a crowd. Your witness is against yourself. It's way more than 2 or 3 witnesses. And it doesn't use heaven and earth as witness against you. No, in your lifetime, you will witness your fellow Israelite disobeying this. You're the witness against them that they promised that they would not. Promised they would not. Oh, you know what? Oh, I forgot to do this earlier. I'm just realizing it. Look. Okay, Ken Chan came in with the raid, and I need to put a sticker. Or not with a raid. Came in with a sub. I forgot to put a sticker on when the sub came in, so I will have to message Ken and see if there is a name to put on the back of that for mental health. So, RS, out of curiosity, what was the site that he's using to read the Bible? Oh, yes, this is netbible.org. Netbible.org is the one I am using. So, NetBible is the New English translation, and it has lots of footnotes over here on the side. And I also go over here to Blue Letter Bible to look up Greek and Hebrew. And the reason I use these two is not because there isn't anything better, but I use these because they are free resources. They're free resources. So thanks for asking. Let me just type that in there. King Quack Attack, hey, welcome in. Thanks for the lurk, friend. Thanks for the lurk. Hope you're doing well. Okay, no, really, we will worship God. Youthful optimism. Hopeful optimism. Joshua said to the people, do you agree to be witness against yourself? They replied, we are witnesses. See, again, the question is asked of them, and they reply, we are witnesses. The crowd is asked, I wash my hands of him. We will take the blood. There is a whole parallel there. Now put aside the foreign gods that are among you and submit to the Lord, the God of Israel. The people said to Joshua, we will worship the Lord our God and obey him. That day, Joshua drew up an agreement. Okay, what word is that? Yeah, cut a covenant. Why would you... I'm sorry. So, if you're new, I will pick on every translation no matter what it is. No matter what it is, I will pick on choices that they make. I understand why they make choices. I'm just like, why would you abandon covenant language? Because covenants are so much deeper than an agreement. They're so much deeper than an agreement. Because, I'm sorry, I make a promise with you is not the same as I make a covenant with you. I make a contract with you is not the same as I make a covenant with you. I'm sorry, it's not. A covenant, I am obligated to what I have agreed to, whether you do your part or not. I don't get to get out of it because you break your side. An agreement, well, I agreed to give you this in exchange for that, and you didn't do that. Well, I'm out of the agreement then. I don't have to fulfill it. No, a covenant you still do. A contract, you sue people for breach of contract. You don't go and finish the contract because the other party broke the contract. No, you sue them because they breached the contract. You don't fulfill your half. So just to be ridiculous, let's just say I contracted with you that you were going to send me 1,000 flat caps at $1 a piece. And you sent me 10. So I'm not going to be paying you $1,000. That would be the modern thought. Like, no way I'm paying you $1,000 for 10 hats. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now, it was ridiculous. I was getting a hat for $1 a piece. I understand that. But You agreed to it. I don't then send you the $1,000 anyway. In a covenant, you do. In a covenant, doesn't matter that one party breached. You still do the thing you promised. Why? Because you promised that this was what you were going to do. So that's why I don't like when people get out of covenant and then it's like, well, we don't use covenants. Yeah, we don't. So let's explain what covenants are and help people understand the serious nature of what a covenant is. Okay. Drew up a covenant for the people, and he established rules and regulations for them in Shechem. Joshua wrote these words in the law scroll of God. He then took a large stone and set it up there under the oak tree near the Lord's sanctuary. So the tabernacle is set up here in Shechem, it seems like. Joshua said to the people, look, this stone will be a witness against us. Okay, a witness against us. So you will all agree to be witnesses. This stone is going to be a lasting witness as well. It's under this tree, and I wrote all the words. Joshua said to the people, look, the stone will be a witness against us, for it has heard everything the Lord said to us. It will be a witness against you if, if you deny your God. When Joshua dismissed the people, they went to their allotted portions of land. After this, Joshua, son of Nun, the Lord's servant, died at the age of 110. They buried him in his allotted territory in Timnath Serah, in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. Israel worshipped the Lord throughout Joshua's lifetime, and as long as the elderly man who lived without remained alive, these men experienced firsthand everything the Lord had done for Israel. Okay, all the days of Joshua, all the days of the elders who outlived him. Okay. When it says the elders who outlived him, the elderly men, okay, I was confused by that. The elders who outlived him. So, anyone who was alive and bore witness to wandering in the desert, those days, those men who were alive, they followed God. Okay. Putting on the Reds. Hey, welcome in. Bum, bum, bum. The bones of Joseph, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the part of the field that Jacob bought for his sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. So it became the inheritance of the tribe of Joseph. I knew there had to be a connection in Shechem. I just didn't remember what it was. It's the burial land. So it doesn't tell us here yet where Joshua was buried. I think Joshua might be wanting to be buried with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. Because remember, Joseph went and buried Jacob there, I believe. Okay. Eleazar, son of Aaron, died, and they buried him in Gibeah in the hill country of Ephraim, where his son Phinehas had been assigned land. After Joshua died, the Israelites asked the Lord, who should lead the invasion against the Canaanites and launch the attack? The Lord said, the men of Judah should take the lead. Okay, this is interesting. They're inquiring of God, but if you remember when we had the marching order of the tabernacle, when the tabernacle was to go out, Judah was in the lead. So this is mirroring what was already told them as far as the marching order of when they would take the tabernacle and move when they're wandering in the desert for 40 years, and how they were to camp around the tabernacle, all of that stuff. Yes, Net Bible, New English Translation. It also was designed intentionally to be an electronic Bible, and they weren't automatically thinking to put it in print, but later people wanted to get a copy of it in print. So I think they only have it, maybe they've changed, but I thought to begin with, they just made this really nice leather-bound Bible that was quite expensive to put into print. But the nice thing here is all the footnotes that they have that you can look up. So let's see if this reference will tell us Judah should go up. Oh, okay. No, it's not telling us about the orderly things. I mean, the previous ordering of things. Be sure of this. I am handing the land over to them. The men of Judah said to their relatives, the men of Simeon, invade our allotted land with us and help us attack the Canaanites. Then we will go with you to your allotted land. So the men of Simeon went with them. So it's now time to start looking at all the territories we didn't take. Who's going first? Judah. Well, Judah invites Simeon to go with. I don't know. Did they get invited? Did they get inquire of God of that? I don't know. I'm just trying to see. Is this a good or a bad thing that they asked them to go? The men of Judah attacked, and the Lord handed the Canaanites and Perizzites over to them. They killed 10,000 men at Bezek. They met Adoni-Bezek at Bezek, and they fought him. They defeated the Canaanites and Perizzites. When Adoni-Bezek ran away, they chased him and captured him. Then they cut off his thumbs and big toes. Okay, so if you've got little boys and you want them to be interested in the Bible, there's a lot of gruesome stuff in the book of Judges that little boys will be thinking is fun or interesting. Yeah, they cut off his big thumbs and big toes. Adoni-Bezek said 70 kings with thumbs and big toes cut off, used to lick up food scraps under the table. God has repaid me for what I did to them. Okay. So apparently he did this to other people. Everywhere the verbal use carries the sense of to gather, to pick up, to glean, but lick up seems best here in light of the particular circumstances. Okay, so they have to lick up the food scraps because they have no thumbs to pick up food scraps. Well, you could still do this. You could still do this without a thumb. You know, there's still a way to do that. I'm not licking them up. This people can't pick things up. Yeah. So he's cutting off. So it appears that he cut off 70 kings, and he cut off their big thumbs and their big toes. So, well, one reason too, you cut off a thumb, you can no longer carry a weapon to fight against someone. You can no longer hold a bow to fight against someone. I'm guessing the big toes, some correlation. I don't know for sure. Not sure the big toe part. They brought him to Jerusalem where he died. The men of Judah attacked Jerusalem and captured it. They put it to the sword to it and set the city on fire. So, Judah is going to take Jerusalem now. I'm watching you people. I read a devotion on the 3rd, and the reference scripture came from 2 Kings chapter 20, talking about Hezekiah's illness. My question is, did the years of his tenure as king, including the 15 years God gave him, and 2, do you know the specific type of issue the king had to become so sick? I kept thinking it was a tumor or a septic infection. I don't remember it saying what his illness was, only that it seemed serious enough that he was going to die, and so he prays that he does not die. So yeah, I'm not sure what the illness was, and I don't remember if it said. Loss of big toe would make balance and walking running hard. Also needed for fighting or for fleeing. Oh, I hadn't thought about the fleeing part. I had thought about the standing and balance and all of that, but there's a level at which I think you could get used to, but I hadn't thought about fleeing and the speed at which you would be able to move. Yeah. You thought I read something about a boil. Let me go read it again. Okay, if you said Kings 20. This is Bible Gateway. Sorry. Clicked on the wrong thing. So this is New English version. Oh, is it first or second Kings? I think it's second. Yep. In those days, Hezekiah became ill at the point of death. You're going to die. Remember, the Lord has walked faithfully. Wholehearted devotion is done. Hezekiah wept bitterly. Oh, and they did so and applied to the boil, and he recovered. Okay, they put figs on the boil. Okay, here it is. It's this word. It's whatever that is. So let's go 2 Kings 27. Let's look the word up. I missed this part of the inquiry. Yeah, I thought I read something about a boil. Yeah. Yeah, I saw you said that. Was there something else I missed? Could have been. Okay. I'm the right. Oh. I put 1 Kings. Like that didn't look right. There we go. Oh, okay. On the boil. Okay, let's see if this has more range of understanding. Shekhin.
Strong's H 7822. Shechin.
Boil, inflamed spot, inflammation, eruption of a man, leprosy, a man or a beast. Okay, boil breaketh forth and plain and beast throughout the land. Okay, so this could be connected with leprosy. Otherwise, like, so we use much more specific medical terms for a lot of things. So it appears it could have been some kind of infection. So if you just think about someone that has gangrene, if you've ever seen that, like it just oozing pus and all of that stuff, I think that could fit in the category of a boil. Leprosy, where you've got things going on. Boil, we've narrowed it down to boil means this. Leprosy is specifically Hansen's disease. Like, we've categorized all these things. They would not have had specific categories. They do have priestly things of, here's what you need to do. Do you need to see if it's spread and hairs growing in it, those kinds of things. We're not giving more details there with Hezekiah, only that whatever the disease was that he had, that a boil was the symptom of it, and they put these fig leaves on there to apply a compress to it that he recovered. That's the extent of what we know. Yeah. They implored a poultice of figs, so they did something. Or Isaiah says to do something. And they do it in faith. And he recovers. Okay. I don't know. Was there more to your question, or are you just curious if as to what all that could have been? What all that could have been? Oh, yes. So, okay. The reason that leprosy is life-threatening is not an immediate you're going to die kind of circumstance. What happens with leprosy is you lose all feeling in your hand. Therefore, I can stub my hand, or if it's in my feet, I can stub my toe. and use tremendous force that's going to cause damage, and I'm going to lose limbs eventually, and my skin and body is going to fester and rot, and my body's not fighting infection. So it's a painful disease on one point, but what actually happens is you lose feeling, therefore you end up injuring yourself repeatedly, and that causes things to go downhill from there. So okay, thank you. I never assumed you have all the answers, but when something bugs me about scripture, I'll talk to death about it. Yeah, I will ramble in my mind, and I'll seek somebody with more knowledge than I do, or at least a better way to research than I have. I'll talk with God to death about it. Yeah. Which I bet he loves. I bet he loves that. Talk his ear off about that. Yeah. The other thing, I don't want to pretend I know the answer to things that I don't know, and that's not something I've thought of looking at before. What his disease was, and yeah, they put it on a boil. So, what are some things that could cause boils? But we need to think more general than just a boil as a lesion on the skin that could go away, but as an infection, and that's the symptom that they're addressing is there's pus coming out of the body for some reason. Oh, okay. So your question is, did the 15 years of his tenure include the 15 years God gave him? Yeah. Yeah, so he's given 15 more years. So when we read that he was king this long, it does include those 15 years. Also, by the way, in those 15 years that he has extra time, his sons should have been ruling. And since they are not ruling, and he's not bringing them along to rule and doing things with them, they turn away from God. So it's like he got a reprieve because he was diligently following God, but afterwards he does not follow God nor his household in the same manner. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the 15 years was, when it says he ruled from here to here, that 15 years is added in there. Yeah, if you keep reading in that story, it goes bad after that. Okay. So we had the men of Judah capturing Jerusalem and setting on fires, where we left off. Later, the men of Judah went down to attack the Canaanites living in the hill country, the Negev, and the foothills. The men of Judah attacked the Canaanites living in Hebron. Hebron used to be called Kiriath Arba. They killed Shishai, Ahiman, and Talmai. From there, they attacked the people of Dibber. Dibber used to be called Kiriath Sepher. Caleb said, "To the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sepher, I will give my daughter Aksah as a wife." When Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, captured it, Caleb gave him his daughter Asak as a wife. Okay, so interesting. We're jumping back to something that happened previously here to remind us of things. I'm watching. I was nervous about taking too much time away from your study, but I couldn't let it go. It was bugging me for a couple days. There's no taking too much time away from my study. There isn't. This is what we do, is we talk about the Bible in community. So if you have something to talk about in the Bible, well, this is the place to do it. One time, Aksah came and charmed her father so she could ask him for some land. When she got down from her donkey, Caleb said to her, "What would you like?" She answered, "Please give me a special present. Since you have given me land in the Negev, get me springs of water." So Caleb gave her both the upper and lower springs. We've read this before. I feel like this. You know what? Let me just do this. Let me just find it. Let me see what I can find here. Because this feels like word for word the other story. I'm going to get rid of that part because it might not be in this translation. All right. Let me just get rid of that. How do you not have her name? Are you spelling it somewhere else? Well, let's do that then. Joshua 15. Yeah, we're all the way back at Joshua 15. So, we're recounting the story of Joshua 15. Oh, and that's going to get retold on some level in Chronicles. I didn't know that. Okay. Huzzah! Huzzah! Putting on the Ritz! Welcome in. Okay. So she got the springs. I knew we already had this story. Now the descendants of Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, went up to the people of Judah from the city of dated palm trees. Oh, that's just telling us where. In Deuteronomy, the Negev of the palm, the Jericho of the palm, as far as Zoar. Okay. To Arad in the wilderness, located in the Negev, they went and lived with the people of Judah. So the descendants of Moses' father-in-law come here to live. It doesn't give me a parallel there with, a definition of Kenite, because I thought it was Jethro was the father-in-law. Let me find that a minute. So we're in Judges 1. Does Net have a search for what you're doing in Bible Gateway? Oh, yeah, they do have a search, but I'm more familiar with Bible Gateway. I just type here's the passage, and it lists off all the passages. There probably are searches that you can use in Net Bible, but I was trying to find a particular person, and I just knew I would be faster to do it that way. And I spelled Judges wrong, so that's not why. Or that is why it didn't give it to me. And I know that they do have Hebrew that I could look up. I have not started using their Hebrew. I've been using this for quite some time. So I will have to explore that at some point. So I wanted to look up, what was I looking up? Oh, 16. Verse 16. We can check it out a second here. Kani.
Strong's H 7017. Kani.
The tribe
Kani.
From which the father-in-law of Moses was a member.
Kani.
Okay. So this is this tribe.
Kini. Kini.
Okay. Didn't think that was his name, so it was naming him after him. He's just of that tribe. That's what they're doing here. Okay. Number 3 is just to understand what specifically you said and Jeremiah 31 when it talks about bringing back his people to the land and blessing them. Was God talking about bringing them out of captivity after he turned his back on them for hundreds of years? And is he talking about the remnant of Israel who accept Jesus as the current times? You mean Joshua at the end, or you jump into Jeremiah, which I wasn't looking at Jeremiah. And he sent out a raven, and it flew, and there were waters and dried up the earth. Oh, yeah, Elijah's fed by ravens. Cockroach, yes. Jeremiah, okay. Oh, that's fine. If you're not versed in the OT, that's fine. The way you do that is, you have to read through it several times. Okay, I was just clarifying what you were asking if it was the previous passage. So, um, so Jeremiah is prophesying before they go into captivity. So it is after captivity, them returning to the land, is the way I would understand that without looking up the specific quote you were looking at. But they're going into exile, and Jeremiah goes and he purchases a piece of land, and so there is the proof that God is going to return you to the land after captivity is what I'm doing here. So no, I don't see that as a solely future after Jesus. I see that as specific to the people in Jeremiah's day who will go into captivity, and those in captivity having hope that they'll return to the land. Now, could God then also fulfill this again in the future? Or did he fulfill it again in the future? There's different ways to look at it. So, was it very specific to the readers of Jeremiah in exile that they one day would return? Yes. Could it also have been a future thing after that where people who are in exile currently might return to land? Or you could say in the 60s when Israel was established, return to land? You could. Is the return in Israel a necessary thing? No. I don't think so. It doesn't have to be. And I know there's some who think that Israel has to be in the land for a lot of prophecies to be fulfilled. I don't see it that way. To me, then you are forcing God to interpret and understand Scripture the way you are understanding it. When Jesus came the first time, the number of people that had it 100% right and knew that it was Jesus and he was going to die and he was going to be raised and he was going to ascend was 0. So I'm not forcing the Bible or God to do what I think he meant when the Bible was written. I don't have that much power to expect God to do it the way I think that I understand it. And that's why I think it's viable for us to have disagreements about the Bible, because we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Now, depends on what we're disagreeing about, but if that didn't answer it well enough, we can still go look that up. Can you answer my question earlier than Roach was answering to? Can you say it again? I'm not sure I saw it then, Schizo. If I... There's so many ways I, as a human, have infinite thinking with different my understanding than God, who has infinite knowledge and wisdom. So I ponder and pray and pick people's brains. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say with definiteness, it is for the people who are going into exile. 100%. Anything after that, possible. Was it possible already to be fulfilled a second time? Yes. Is it possible there'll be a third one? Yes. I don't have a really good loop to show you, but I have a professor that talked about. Oh, maybe this will work. Maybe this will work. So if you can see this is spiraling around, and every time the loop is on, let's just say the side facing the screen where you can see a ribbon is a fulfillment. Well, you're going between fulfillments, and then you can see it gets further away or closer together, but it can loop around. The same thing can loop around several times in a trajectory and have multiple fulfillments. So, you stop bugging me for now. No worries. Oh, didn't see the ad break coming. Sorry, friends. Sorry, didn't realize we were that far along already. Da, da, da. All right. I'm going to get up and stretch, because that's why the ads are there. So I remember to get up and stretch. It's bugging me that my pond cam ain't working. I wonder what's up with that. I'm going to have to check that out as soon as I'm done with stream. Can you tell my fish are trained as soon as I stood up? Maybe you couldn't see it. They were all spazzing out in the tank, getting all excited. Food's coming. He's standing. Food is coming. Food is coming. So, food is coming. They all got excited. So there we go. Yeah, the wording is similar. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, RS. Yeah, one of my professors in seminary used that. Like, if you like draw a ray and arc going out and you do a loop, then every time you hit a certain piece on that, you can see a fulfillment. And so they extensionally get further apart potentially, and or you just see it as a looping thing that repeats itself, and God can use the same passage of scripture and fulfill it multiple times. So can I say with confidence that I believe Jesus fulfilled every passage of the Old Testament in his first coming? Yes. Yes, 100%. Can I say that when he returns a second time, he will fulfill the Old Testament again? Yes. That's how I can say that, because I don't have to have a limitation on this is a one and only fulfillment of something kind of a thing. Hey, North Hill, amen. Thank you, friend. Thank you. So to your question, I'll get specific on your question, but let me give a broader sense of something here. Just because something is a symbol of something doesn't mean it's limited to only being a symbol of that. So the yeast is a symbol that is often referred to as sin. That you don't want yeast because it's sinful, and we get the yeast of the Pharisees. However, there are other examples where yeast is used because the metaphor can still work. It doesn't have to say, no, we've used it as sinful, we can't use it again. We have a serpent, which is a symbol of the devil and evil come upon you and danger. And also, Moses lifted the serpent up in the wilderness, and the serpent there is a symbol of life. So you can have a symbol that can change context and be a symbol of something different in one context than another. We don't have to keep it. We also have fire, and I'm just trying to use some bigger ones. Fire is the symbol of destruction, and the lake of fire is the symbol of where torment happens. And BT dubs, fire is the pillar where God's presence is near you, and fire is the Holy Spirit. Okay, so just in general, if you see a symbol, you don't have to say this symbol always means that. That symbols can change. They can be, excuse me, they can be used differently. They can be used for both good and bad. So, to your specific question, if the dove symbolizes the Holy Spirit, does the raven symbolize the devil in Genesis 8, where the raven goes to and fro, and the book of Job says that Satan goes to and fro on the earth? I don't know if I've ever thought about it that way. I like that idea, Schizo. I like that idea. I don't know that I've heard that, and maybe there is some symbolism. I've never paid attention or thought about symbolism in the choice of the two doves, even the dove symbolizing the Holy Spirit, being the Spirit of God hovering over the water. But that's a great analogy. If it's not intentionally there, I could see it being there. That the raven could symbolize the. Well, the raven doesn't necessarily care about or need a pair. Like, the raven's gone. The raven's caring for himself. And that's not a good thing. But when the dove goes, it is it does bring the olive branch back. And I'm gonna say I'm liking your thinking there. If you've heard that from someone else, I've not heard that before or thought about that. As far as the wandering, but yeah, if you look at the Spirit of God hovering over the waters and go back to Genesis, I do think there's supposed to be that connection. So then that would make sense that the dove is there, and then the devil, the serpent, wandering to and fro on the earth. The problem I'll say with Job is the Satan in Job is a position. It's a position. So it is the Satan, the accuser, is how I think it should be translated, not Satan the devil. It is a position of being the accuser who is wandering to and fro, which breaks down part of your analogy there. But like you're thinking there. Very good. Okay, I'll follow now. Okay. Thanks for the follow. Thanks for the follow. And I missed the follow because I was catching up on stuff. Appreciate it. I didn't. Was an original thought. That's awesome. You asked a really good question. Yeah, I'm like, it's one of those, like, those are the things that's just like I find beautiful. It's like, did when Genesis was written and Noah's Ark written, were we intentionally supposed to know and think about the book of Job? I don't think so. Can we make correlations between the two? Yes. Yes, because God weaves and works all the way through his word. So if there's good connections and references or allusions to something else, the scripture cross-references itself all over the place. And some can just be an allusion to something, like the Spirit is the dove in the New Testament, but it could be the allusion to that in the Old Testament before we even see it become that in the New Testament, so that when we know the New Testament, we can look back and we can see it in the Old Testament as an allusion, not as a, this had to be understood, but as a reader from the New Testament forward, we can look back and see it through that lens. Hope that's making sense. Hope that's making sense. What I don't want to do is just like go another route, which some people, Star Fox, welcome in, good morning, go in the direction of everything is an allegory about Jesus and the church. There have been people in church history that just wanted to go through everything in the Old Testament and say, everything in the Old Testament is about Jesus and his church. And then you go, okay, then what about this? That doesn't really fit. And oh, this also, it doesn't fit. And then, you know, when you read through the book of Song of Solomon, you're like, yeah, this is really not something I want to think about Jesus and the church, you know, kind of doing. Oh, Schizo, thank you. Thank you. And I will do more thinking on that. I'll do more thinking on that. That'll be one that'll dwell with me the rest of the week, probably. So it's like, for instance, when I point out numbers as we go along, it's because I've started to pay attention to. When there's trees, I've started to pay attention to because other people have made me aware and alert of those things. I have not started looking for birds. I might start looking for birds now. Digging your coffee crap. Oh, dude, have you not seen this? Have you not seen the fullness of it? So there's Nerd Culture Ministry Summit. I only work on Sundays. Jesus. Oh, hey, look at there, friend. Look at there. North Hill Live on there. The video game. It's not Bible X. Zero Gate. Glue. Some other places people won't know. Save Point Ministry. Christian Ninja. Love Thy Nerd. Nerd Church. Nurch. He gets us. Kansas City Underground. I got lots of stuff. Oh, yeah, and the Reach 5K. Reach 5K conference. Yeah, that's why I wanted your logo, man. And then I've got some back here as well that I'm starting to put stuff up. And I'm either... Well, I also put some on the back of my laptop, too. But then I'm either going to have to start stickering this, which... This is only my refill mug, or I need to go buy one again like this. This is the only one they had at the time, and so they were a special buy one, you know, as a BOGO, so I had to use a different style, which this one fits in my cup holder nicer. This one doesn't fit in my car cup holder, but it's got a button release, and then you got to sippy cup it, and it just, I don't know. Don't like it as much. Well, the thing is, this one has, I think, some cool, like, design on it. So I haven't stickered it yet, but I'll have to decide if I'm stickering it. All right, let's see if we can finish the first chapter of Judges. And there is more. Let me get caught up on stark lack of UAW. Oh, ukulele for worship sticker. Yeah, I know. I had one of your stickers. Let me see. Is it on my laptop? Looking. There's my Ninja. Oh, by the way, I could do that. I could show that while we're on sticker high. Oops. That was weird. Can I get? No, I can't lift it any higher. Too many cables. So, I know ukulele. I had a sticker of yours somewhere, and I had some other things. I don't know what happened to that sticker. I can't find it. Because I got your sticker before I decided what I was going to do with stickers. Now that I've decided, I'll have to get one from you. I have to get one. Artsy Nerd, I need to make a sticker. Yeah. Oh, BT Dubs. I have that sticker for my community, which I'm super excited about. I don't even have a flat cap sticker yet. I've made them available that people can buy in the merch, but I don't have one. The other mug definitely needs stickers. Okay, you're going to talk me into it. You know what I'm going to do? Here we go. I'll put the first one on there. I'll put the first one on. Let's see. We'll go opposite so that you'll see it. I'm going to go right on the top. There we go. We have our first sticker, and it's all wrinkled because this bottle has curves in it. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Big, readable, legible, first sticker on there. Who knew we were having such fun today? Lane, hey, welcome in, friend. Oh, those are designs. I thought those were stains of some kind. No, that's a design on there. That's a design to be artistic. It's like to be marble, but it's with metal. Maybe your sticker the clear backgrounds so you can. Ooh, yeah. If I have some with clear backgrounds, I don't know that I have many with clear backgrounds. I do have another stack of stickers though. Lurk for work, all now. Okay. Thanks for popping by. Yes. Oh, yeah. I got Brother Tom on the laptop. I know. Isn't that funny? I got your faces on the laptop. I got the North Hill Live sticker on the mug. I figured I didn't want to put your face on my mug. Put your mug on my mug was really the not going to happen. Actually, like, merch goes to whatever Streamlabs had set up, and I don't even know what's over there. And it won't let me give a merch command, so it's on a timer that should show up. I need to figure out a way to get my stickers over there. Where's my sticker store? I know I've shared it before. I'm not seeing it. I haven't opened it in a while. Must be in a different one. Hey, Smokin'! Welcome in, friend. Just getting distracted like crazy today. That's all that's going on. I'm trying to get through some, OT here, and what I'm going through is a lot of tea here. Oh, that was Tom? Thought that was an interesting depiction of Jesus. Squirrel. Yes, totally. Yeah, that was Tom. Yeah, they have... North Hill Live has stickers now. You get a 3-fer. You get 3 stickers. Okay. So we got distracted here looking out Kenites, Moses' father-in-law, So descendants of the Kenites. So it's the clan. And I was getting confused with the Kenite, thinking it was a different name for Moses' father-in-law. Appears to be not to be that. Okay. So the men of Judah went with their brothers, the men of Simeon, and defeated the Canaanites living in Zaphath. They wiped out Zaphath. So people now call the city Hormah. The men of Judah captured Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, and the territory surrounding each of these cities. Okay, what's the footnote say? Hormah or Korma sounds like the Hebrew word for translated wiped out. Okay. So they went to the city and wiped out the city of wiped out. Just like we had the city of Ai means heap of rubble. And there's the connection between they defeated Jericho and left it a heap of rubble. The next city they go to try to attack is called Heap of Rubble, and they could not defeat it. And then they come back after discovering Akinson, and they turn a heap of rubble into a heap of rubble. So there's some wordplay going on. Hebrew really likes this and loves to do that. This word sounds like, this word is the same, roots of the other word. So they wiped out the city of wiped out. That's like, why? They're being obedient to God. That's why this is happening. They're being obedient to God. They inquired of God. They're being obedient to God. The Lord was with the men of Judah. They conquered the hill country, but they could not conquer the people living in the coastal plains because they had chariots with iron-rimmed wheels. Caleb received Hebron, just as Moses had promised. He drove out the 3 Anakites. The men of Benjamin, however, did not conquer the Jebusites living in Jerusalem. The Jebusites lived with the people of Benjamin in Jerusalem to this very day. Okay, so we're getting obedience, and then we're getting but they didn't quite finish. So 2 occasions of didn't quite finish. Okay, I'm watching you people. Ukulele for worship. I think I have a good topic for a poll, but since I talked to death, I'll save it for tomorrow. Okay. I like your suggestions for polls. I really, really do. I'm watching people. I really like them because I don't think of those kinds of things. Like I like the people. I like polls. I just don't think of things to ask. To go, do you think this, or this? I mean, so I appreciate the polls, thinking and suggestions on those. So, thank you. And I love questions too. So this is fun. Like when no one's asking questions. I feel like, is anybody, am I here alone? Is this thing on? Okay. When the men of Joseph attacked Bethel, that is the house of God, the Lord was with them. With the men of Joseph spied out Bethel. It used to be called Luz. The spies spotted a man leaving the city and said to him, if you show us a secret entrance into the city, we will reward you. He showed them a secret entrance into the city, and they put the city to the sword, but let the man and his extended family leave safely. He moved to the Hittite country and built a city. He named it Luz, and it has kept the name to this very day. That is so interesting. Okay. So unlike the spies that went to Rahab, who she saves them, and then she asks for a reward. They see a guy. They ask the guy to rat out a city, and he does, and then he moves. He doesn't stay with them. He goes and he starts his own city. Wow, that's a weird thing. Now I want to go look up what Luz means. What does Luz mean? Gots to know. I'm sure I looked it up before. My brain wants to say something about light. But I probably am thinking of Lux. I'm probably thinking of Lux instead of Luz, which is a different language base. I believe that's a Latin. Luz. Almond tree.
Strong's H 3870.
That's what it was. Almond tree.
Lose.
Schizo, why do you think they never fully finish intermarriage and they respect the gods they worship? Is that why they were told to test the spirits? Oh, I'm gonna say I think those things are separate as far as testing the spirits. I think that's a different thing. Um, but why do I think? Okay, what we had earlier when we were in Joshua was here's what they conquered and here's what you need to. These are the ones you will. And then in Joshua, there was a few of, and they never did statements of, they were told they're going to do this, but they won't actually do that. Here, I don't know if there is a full reason why they did not fully finish this. I think these are just statements of things that were not finished, and they do become a sword in a thorn in the flesh, a thorn in the side, moving forward. So I don't think at this point there is the intermarriage going on that's preventing them from being successful. For instance, in some of these places, we will get conquering in the time of David of these places that were left unconquered. So we will get David finishing some of these things in the future. So this is a history piece here. It has not spoken here in anything spiritual that I can see. I am questioning whether they should have left this guy Luz, live and go start another town called Luz. If there's some problem there of what their behavior is, but there's nothing telling us they were sinful and intermarrying at this point. So I'm not thinking there is that. And the testing of the spirits is, if someone is claiming to have the Spirit of God, you need to validate. So testing is really more validation of this is a message from God. It's not a message. So for instance, Balaam was saying things that God gave him to say, but he also turned around and for money said, here's how you can lead God's people astray. So that's what I think the testing of the spirits has to do with is this genuinely coming from God, and this person is a genuine follower of God, I think is the testing of the spirits things. Oh yeah, all the times they didn't finish things. Yeah. Well, and the thing is some of these I think are the long term. You need to finish it, and I was pointing out like it says they finished what they were supposed to in Joshua. Then it's new assignments that were added to be fulfilled in the next generation. Would be the way I would see it, or the next 2 generations, depending on how you want to time that out. So, okay, good questions. So, showed him a secret answer. Oh, yeah, there we are. Okay. The men of Manasseh now conquered Beth Shean. You know what? I told you that there was a level of order of which they were to march. I'm not going to go look it up, but this will be another one of those things to go look it up. So I knew Judah was first. I don't know the full order of the way they were supposed to march when they had the ark, when they moved with the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. I know there was an order to it. There was a procession. I'm wondering if it follows that procession, if Simeon happened to be second and if Manasseh happened to be third. I do not know that off the top, or I should say the men of Joseph. Interesting. Manasseh would be the case there. They call him Joseph. Then it's the men of Manasseh. Okay. I'm just wondering if it follows that order at all. I'm not going to look it up because that would be a longer reading because it goes, and then this, and blah, 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 and then this, blah, 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 blah. It'll take a while to find all the reference. So, but it just back your mind. Maybe if you have time, go check that out. Did not conquer Beth Shean, Tanakh, or their surrounding towns, nor did they conquer the people living in Dor, Ibleam, Megiddo, or the surrounding towns. The Canaanites managed to remain in those areas. Whenever Israel was strong militarily, they forced the Canaanites to do hard labor, but they never totally conquered them. So they're able to enslave them on a level, but they can't conquer them, which is an interesting thing. Okay, I can give you the poll. Who was the most corrupt person in the early church during Jesus' time and after? Saul, pre-conversion, the mocker on the cross, Judas, Ananias, and Sapphira. Ooh. 4 persons considering number 4. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting for sure. Wow. I'm thinking through that, and I can make interesting arguments in regards to that. So let's start a new poll. So Saul, mocker on cross, Judas, or Ananias and Sapphira. There we go. I'll let you guys vote, and then when you vote, I'll share some thoughts on that. Okay. So this is telling you, this is setting up. So what Judges here in Judges 1 is doing, it's setting up the rest of the book. So it is taking and saying, after the death of Joshua, here's what they began to do. They never were able to fulfill it. So Manasseh's got a group that's always going to be at their doorstep. Judah's got a group that's always at their doorstep. Now we're going to get to the next one. The men of Ephraim did not conquer the Canaanites living in Gezer. The Canaanites lived among them in Gezer. The men of Zebulun did not conquer the people living in Kitron and Nahalah. The Canaanites live among them and were forced to do hard labor. The men of Asher did not conquer the people living in Akko or Sidon, nor did they conquer Alab, Akzib, Halbah, Aphek, or Rehob. The people of Asher lived among the Canaanites residing in the land because they did not conquer them. The man of Naphtali did not conquer the people living in Beth Shemesh or Beth Anath. They lived among the Canaanites residing in the land. The Canaanites living in Beth Shemesh and Beth Anath were forced to do hard labor for them. The Amorites forced the people of Dan to live in the hill country. We've got a reversal here. This is our first reversal. Live in the hill country. They did not allow them to live in the coastal plains. The Amorites managed to remain in Har Heraz, Ajalon, and Shalabim. Whenever the tribe of Joseph was strong militarily, the Amorites forced to do hard work, but the border of the Amorite territory ran from the Scorpion accent to Selah and on up. So Dan is displaced. Dan is displaced. They aren't able to be able to remain. So at the beginning of, or the end of Joshua, we say, here's the fulfillment, but then there's the next part. And remember, when we started the book of Joshua, it said God wasn't going to leave the land vacant. God wasn't going to leave the land vacant. It was going to be turned over to the people gradually. There is a gradualness to the conquering of the land. So I'll get to spotted tea just a second. So it's at the end that it says they fulfilled everything they were supposed to do, and here's the new assignments, so they can gradually take more and more. So we were asking of whether there was a barrier. There is not yet. Until maybe we get to Dan, because Dan is forced out of the land. Why is Dan forced to shift its borders of where it is at? There's something I want to know. And then it moves into, here's all the others. So there is some conquering that happens, and we're successful in the next stage, but we didn't finish. There's a we didn't finish leading into the next part. Okay, let me get caught up on chat. Oh, you know what? Let me do spot of tea first. Thank you. Earl Grey all day today. Earl Grey all day. Thank you. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Good morning, sunshine. Hope you're doing well. Hope the kiddos had a great weekend. Okay, you have a soft spot for Judas. I do too. It doesn't make me blind to what he did, but understand human nature and the mind. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Schizo. I just can't imagine being in the ministry of Jesus and being trusted with the money for them, and he did things to keep the money and betrayed Jesus for money. Yep. But I've looked at this before. All he we make this big deal of betraying Jesus, but all he essentially does is say, "Here he is, here he is. I'll tell you when he's alone. I went and told you he's alone, and I'm gonna take you to him." I mean, to me, that really does seem like a small thing. We turn it out to be a betrayer. The reason it's a betrayer is because he was not following Jesus's plans. He wanted to force Jesus to do his plans, which I think was to rise up militarily. I think Judas was a zealot. I think he wanted to overthrow the government. I think that's part of what it is. So his plan didn't match Jesus' plan. That's why he's the betrayer. It's not totally the action himself. I also think he has remorse over it. Now, he does not act on his remorse in a way that restores him. He has remorse because it doesn't turn out the way he planned. Okay, so Judas and Saul both got one vote. Really? Interesting. So, let me just say this. I don't think the thief on the cross is of any significance. He's just there. He's mocking. And he's on his deathbed. I don't think he's any significance. Saul's destruction is turned for good. So, and then Judas's actions are also necessary on a level of fulfillment of Scripture. So, if I looking at those, I'm going with Saul is more detrimental than Judas because Judas is necessary. Saul becomes something, and he becomes what he becomes because of what he previously did. So that is an evil being turned for good. I would actually pick Ananias and Sapphira as the most dangerous because they were seeking to deceive the Holy Spirit and people, and had that been able to continue, would have been detrimental to the early church. So I would have picked Ananias and Sapphira. But interesting question. Okay, let me see. The more I read him, the spiritual and political climate of the time of Jesus' life, I do see Jesus as... I'm thinking you mean Judas as an opportunist. I'm not going to lie about that. He had his greedy moments, and that's real. But I sometimes wonder if what he did wasn't just because it was him being used to do a specific thing in the time of Jesus, but because he truly thought that those actions would spur Jesus on to raise up more of a political way. Just a thought. I've been pondering for a while. And that's the way I would read that too, is his plan isn't match Jesus' plan. He's looking to carry out his plan. Yeah, the voice recorder keeps using Jesus' name in lowercase. You better pick some respect for my Savior, you unruly bot. I do see Jesus as an opportunist. Ugh, I really need to start proofreading. I know, I picked up Jesus there instead of Judas, yep. Hey, Altus Rebbe, Shalomi, my homies. What's the topic for today? We just started Judges. We finished Joshua, and we started Judges. You think Judas truly believed Jesus was a Messiah and was a follower, but didn't think that his gain would be at Jesus' loss. Like Jesus would then be provoked to excel the plan of salvation from Rome, I would say. Yeah, that's my thoughts too. It's win-win. Like Judas makes some extra cash, and also Rome comes to a swift end. I like how you said that. I've not worded it that way, but that is exactly the way I would see it. As Judas believes he's doing the right thing. It's only after Jesus doesn't follow Judas's plan that he realizes that he did something he shouldn't have. Also, think about this too. Jesus tells Judas, go do what you're going to do. Go do what you're going to do. He tells him to go do it. So why would Judas then think it's awful and bad if Jesus knows all of that? Broker Tav mi amigo. Okay. Let's see. What do we have here in chapter 2? Do we want to keep going? I think we're good. Oh, wait. We have when Joshua dismissed the people. Okay, so we are actually rereading some of the stuff. Joshua's still alive here in the beginning of Judges. That's interesting. Because we just had... So when I was saying earlier, this really feels like word for word redoing of the early part of Joshua. It was. And we still have Joshua alive here. Interesting. Okay. Well, we're going to stop at Judges 1, apparently, is where we're going to end for today. So, and this wanted us to go 1 through 5? Fine, let's just do that. We'll read 5 verses so that we're closer to on track. The angel of the Lord went up from Gilgal to Bochim. He said, I brought you up out of Egypt, and I led you into the land I have solemnly promised to give your ancestors. I said, I will never break my covenant with you, but you must not make an agreement with the people who live in the land. You shall tear down their altars where they worship, but you have disobeyed me. Why would you do such a thing? At that time, I also warned you, if you disobeyed, I will not drive the Canaanites before you. Then, they will ensnare you, and their gods will lure you away. When the angel of the Lord finished speaking these words to the Israelites, the people wept loudly. The name of the place was Bochim, and offered sacrifices to the Lord there. Means to weep. Okay, so it sounds like we were asking, so I'm glad we read this. We were asking earlier, why didn't they actually finish conquering the land? It says there is sin. So while they were in the process of moving into the next section of conquest, which it looked like was after the death of Joshua, but maybe not if he's down here still talking, there had been some sin. So that's interesting. So there we go. We'll mark off those. Oh, why is it not giving me all of those? There we go. Now I can cross them out. Oh, and I missed this one. There we go. Cross that out. Boom. Okay, so we're only slightly behind. Nothing new there. Nothing new there. You only ever drink green and black tea. Gray tea sounds off-putting for some reason. Well, Earl Grey is a black tea. It's just the name. Judges is a roller coaster. I'm going to enjoy this study. I love Judges. It is some fun reading. And there are cycles that follow again and again and again. Another great reading and answering of questions. All in all, another great stream. Thank you, friend. Appreciate that. Let's find someone to raid. Let's find someone to go and bless today. Oh, I have that open. Haven't gone there in a while. So let's go over there. Did I spell it right? No, I didn't. I am awful with my vowels. So, I get them mixed up all the time. Let me give you a blessing and we'll go over and raid Hannah. So, may God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Yeah, you always show up too late. That's all right. That's all right. Everyone is welcome, no matter when you come. The lurking, the hanging out. Gamer night, good morning, and have... Oh, wait, my screen jumped. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, all of you who were here. What a wonderful time we had together today. I think as we were talking about the cities you were asking, I think the sinning happened when they stopped conquering. I think that's when it happened. That would be the way I would say it. Yeah, if your morning prayers are only an hour, you might be able to show up on time. Yeah, that's the way things go, is they bleed over. They bleed over to the next thing.